One of Reedsburg's best natural areas is 128 acres of woods, wetlands, and prairie about 3 miles outside of town. The Hartje Outdoor Learning Center is a wonderful gift donated to the Reedsburg School District by Virgil and Edith Hartje in 1986. They originally gave 80 acres to provide school children and community members alike with an amazing opportunity to enjoy the outdoors all year long. However, the land was not always an outdoor learning center. When Mr. Hartje acquired the property, it was farmland. If you look closely, there are remnants of the farm's history that still remain in the fence lines and grazed woodlands. When Mr. Hartje acquired the property, his goal was to create a Christmas tree farm. He planted white and red pine on land that had been field and pasture. However, trimming and shaping Christmas trees consumed too much time after his other business, Hartje Lumber, expanded. Virgil decided to allow the trees to grow so they could be harvested for his lumber company or used to heat his buildings. The pine plantation was left as a cash crop on the land that had once been farmed. As the Hartje's children became adults and had children of their own, Virgil and Edith realized their grandchildren did not have an outdoor area for the joys of childhood that they had experienced. They reasoned that if those opportunities were not available for their grandchildren, the opportunities were definitely not available for many other children. What better way to share the experience than to provide a place for that to happen? So the land was given to the school district with the understanding that the school district would maintain it for the benefit of all school children as well as community members. To that end, the district began maintaining the property for the enjoyment of all. Trails were cut into the pine plantation and the buildings on the farm were redesigned for purposes of education and group gatherings. The resources of the Hartje Center have grown continuously over the years. The barn was cleared of cordwood piled to the ceilings. The construction classes of Mr. Richard King went to work converting the barn into a large meeting and display area, remodeling the calf barn into a classroom and changing the granary into a museum. A restroom facility was added shortly afterward through the generous donation of our benefactors, Mr. and Mrs. Hartje. Next, the FFA created a prairie that shows the diversity of plant life possible as it stands next to the towering pines of the pine plantation. Earth Days brought about abundant changes in the creation of ponds, trail improvements, and the addition of an amphitheater and fire pit. In 1996, the Hartjes chose to donate an additional 48 acres, including the addition of a wetland area and stream on the west side of the road. The only contingency was that the students in the district needed to find a way to add a couple of ponds in the wetland area. The environmental science classes went to work. They created and implemented a plan which included a presentation to the Sauk County Board, who granted permission for the modifications to the wetland area. Feeding Construction Company of Loganville partnered with the district to construct the ponds. Today, they provide hours of thrills and delight to students of all ages, as does Twin Creek that runs through the lower property. With the addition of this property, the district was also able to add a small restroom facility and covered pavilion with storage area, again, compliments of Mr. Rich King's construction students. Through the efforts of the RAHS Student Council, the district's physical education teachers, and a small group of teachers and staff, a low ropes course was added. It now contains 9 permanent elements and a number of portable elements. Several teachers and staff within the district facilitate the low ropes course for groups of individuals aged 9 years to adult. The area has been used by business, classes, and sports teams as a way to improve communication, develop leadership skills, and bond within their group. Trails on both the upper and lower Hartje Center are maintained for walking and running throughout the year. Many of our sports teams use the trails for training all year long, with several cross-country events held at the center annually. During the winter months, as much as possible, the trails are groomed for cross-country skiing and snowshoeing. Trails at the Hartje Center are open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Upper Hartje has a large parking area with a building containing the classroom, large meeting room, and small museum. A fire pit as well, as pit toilets are located just outside the building. Upper Hartje has a prairie area, pine plantation, and a maple forest. The lower Hartje has a small parking area along with a pavilion, a pine plantation, and the low ropes course. It also has the wetland area, including the ponds and creek where groups can fish and observe wildlife. The Hartje Center caters to school and community groups. Gary Williams from the Summer Outdoor Adventure Club brings many groups here throughout the year. Let's take a look at some of the groups with Mr. Williams. Buildings at Upper Hartje can be reserved by anyone on a first-come, first-served basis by entering the Reedsburg School District's website, going to Programs and Services, and registering in the Facilities Registration portion of the site. The facility has a carry-in, carry-out policy in regard to refuse, and as with all school sites, no alcohol, drugs, tobacco products, or firearms are allowed on site. Now that you've seen the Hartje Center, come and enjoy the natural beauty of this land. Besides the Hartjes, many other people have contributed to the growth of the center. They include Bill Klang and Roger Popple, science teachers at Webb High School when the Hartjes offered the property to the district. Without these gentlemen, we would probably have no Hartje Center. They took it upon themselves to organize and start the planning process to mastermind the site that we have today. Rich King and his construction classes took the old barn, calf shed and granary and created the wonderful classrooms as well as the pavilion and restroom in the lower Hartje area. Numerous volunteers, headed up by Mr. Popple, Mr. Klang, and Mr. King, built the restroom facilities, the amphitheater, and the benches seen at the facility today. Mr. Gary Williams, a retired elementary guidance counselor in the district, now works to bring students of all ages to the Hartje Center to help them learn more about the natural world around us. The work continues as the Hartje TA students lend their creative talents to develop more and better displays, signage, and facilities for use by students and the general public. Many community members have shared their time and knowledge to create the many features we see and use at the beautiful outdoor learning site that we have today. Hopefully, these efforts will continue into the future to maintain and improve the area we know today as the Hartje Outdoor Learning Center.